Maybe I should turn the cameras on. That'll definitely help. We could definitely start with that. And technically speaking, now we are live. So if this was yesterday,
Rewind.
I would have came on and been like, welcome back to Boston Cage Podcast. But then it kind of feels like deja vu.
And why is that?
Deja. Well, yesterday,
Mhm.
the power or the Wi-Fi went out.
The Wi-Fi did go up, but that wasn't the problem.
That was part of the problem.
Mhm.
And yeah, so on today's episode,
We're so off topic already.
yeah. Well, yeah, long story short was we recorded an entire 1 hour episode yesterday,
That's really good.
and it was really good. Like it was like hella funny, like I tinkle on myself a little bit, like funny, like I'm not really a stand-up comedian kind of person, but it was really I don't know. It may get funny again today, but the reality was it was really, really funny. And unfortunately, when I played it back, because we were like, okay, is it live? Is it not live?
Right.
Well, no matter what happens, we got the recording.
Mhm.
I played the recording, and yeah, my voice was perfectly fine, but
My voice sounded
yeah, she sounded
not existing.
like a whisper. It was like, what the hell? And then it dawned on me, like today we're talking about the 200th episode, but in reality, this is kind of like no matter how far down the food chain you get, you're always still going to hit another hurdle, and you're going to have to tweak something. Because again, if you never did it before, even though you know what you're doing, if you forget to double check that one damn time, what happened yesterday is going to happen to you. Because I've never used my mic input number 2 in my studio because I got my Rodecaster Pro after COVID and I wasn't doing in-person
I feel like we're
interviews.
pre-telling what this entire episode is going to be about.
Well, I mean, we're talking about it, right? Like, so we're leading into it, but in all reality, I didn't test out my mic input number 2, so I didn't change the tonality of it. I didn't change the microphone of it. I didn't like boost the levels. I didn't do it. I left it the same as mine, but then her voice is not my voice, and I thought my settings were the same, right? So the long story short was we had a really good episode yesterday.
We really did. And you know how long it takes me to even get on and be on the show. So it took a lot of courage, maybe a little liquid courage yesterday. And I was on and ready to go. And then I was like, whew, I'm done. And he comes upstairs and says, I got bad news.
Yeah.
So not as much liquid courage, I would say, but I'm back to talk about this significant landmark
Yeah.
in
So
the career of Boss Uncaged.
correct. That was one long ass opening. So because usually I just start, I'd be like, welcome back to Boston Cage Podcast. On today's show, but
This is just us
Yeah.
having a conversation.
Yeah. Which is it's cool because it's a special episode. So, and if the listener has also realized, like we're in the same studio.
Hey, I can touch
We're in
you.
oh, what the hell? What's going on? The kid, there may be kids watching. Don't let me go to Howard Stern level.
That's how baby's made right there.
This is true. Yes, this is true. But
What's
yeah,
today's show about, sir?
200 episodes.
Pew, 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 pew.
It's a chopper.
Oh, and I got to say that too, because that was all yesterday. He doesn't have sound effects on his board since he's playing, executive producer today.
I got
and
sound.
it's not that sound. No. So
yeah,
I
it's something.
make my own sound. Pew, 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 pew.
It's a chopper.
Whatever. So such a milestone, 200 episodes. Whew, that's a lot. 200 episodes since when? Is it February 2020?
Well, let's be realistic. That's 200 aired episodes.
Sorry. Yes, 200 episodes that have aired.
But recording wise,
a little behind. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes. I mean, it's a major milestone in the sense of out of 3 point change million podcasts, majority of them don't get past a couple episodes. Majority of them don't get past a month or two.
Yeah.
If you get to a year, like
that's like
it's like dog years when it comes to podcasters. It's like for every 1 year that you made, you're pretty old. I think like kind of going into yesterday, we talked about this. Now it's kind of coming back to me a little bit. And I was saying that we were 35 years old. as far as podcasting goes.
Yes, in podcasting years,
we're
we're
35 years old.
I can't remember the math.
Yeah.
Oh, no. What was the math? 7?
I'm assuming if we went by dog years, like, but again, like we're only really through. No, it was longer than that because we said it was going to be way longer. So it was like maybe like 12 years or something like that. So really, we're probably 36.
Yes, we're grown.
3 years times 12, 36.
We're grown.
So we grown. Like we went through the whole adolescence age, year 1, year 2. We were kind of like, we know what the hell we doing. We doing what we want to do. Annoying ass older kids. And now we're like, oh shit, our parents were right.
Yes, like we're in this middle age. We're like, we would be a millennial, I think, if where we are. Yeah,
correct.
We're just in this age where we kind of have our stuff together, but we're still figuring things out. So
still tweaking.
So let's talk about the tweaks. One of the things we were kind of talking about yesterday was leveling up on some things and leveling down on others. So one of the items that you mentioned was how you acquire guests from week to week, which I know has had to level up in order to kind of control it in some sense, because at the rate it was going, it would have been all over the place. So
correct.
System man, what system did you put in place?
So I mean, it's like a dual system, right? I mean, obviously there's technical aspects to it, but in reality, it was more so a logical decision. First and foremost was finding the actual booking agents. Like that was a game changer. And the irony is for an entire year, like I didn't look at any of that content. I never really looked at our downloads, and they were contacting me year 1. But I guess it's kind of me maybe playing a little bit of imposter syndrome because I didn't think I was a podcaster at that time. So then as you fast forward a little bit, I wasted an entire year of getting emails from podcast recruiters or podcast booking agents. And so I had to retroactively, once I realized it, go back an entire year in emails and try to find all those emails, get in contact with them. And once I did that, that changed all, like not necessarily our downloads, but it changed not having to search for guests. Like I have not searched for a guest in probably 2 years.
You're able to kind of just organically meet people now and introduce yourself and have kind of proof of concept to say, hey, we should work together and be on the show. So
yeah. I think it's definitely that. And more so season 1, kind of going into the imposter syndrome and just us trying to figure things out and like iron out those wrinkles. I went into like this mediocre panicking stage. Like if you could believe that I panicked, I was like, I got really, I was like, are we going to have enough people, 26 people, to have 26 interviews for that first? And again, now I look back and I'm like, that shit was funny. That dude was soft for a minute. Like if I'm asking myself this question in the podcast, if I can go back and I will go back and smack the shit out my younger self.
It's a part of the growth. Like you did not know that back when you were in early podcasting years, year 3 or whatever. Podcast years, but
I was crawling.
Right. So you had to learn and continually level up so you won't have those panic stages anymore.
Yeah, you're right. So now with our booking agents, ironically enough, like when we kind of close a meeting with one of them and they kind of say, here's an email for some people that we think will be a good fit, on average, they're like 10 to 22, 24 new people that are being proposed to us per email, per booking agent. And I'm looking back at, could we have 26? And now I'm just like, well, we got about 1,000. Like I need to figure out how to clone myself and kind of multiply and make it happen by itself. So yeah.
You leveled up.
You
put a system in place. I think that's the key word, whether it was a system you built or in this case are working with. You put a system in place. Mr. Systems man.
I mean, I love the kids. I love my wife. But when it comes to systems,
Speaking of systems, so like you should one day like record the podcast like facing this whole setup. Usually when I record, I'm in like the closet in the other room, and it's this whole thing that everyone can't see. So next time, just flip it around.
Maybe we could probably just see, we can switch them.
See, you're gonna break something.
No, I'm not breaking anything. So we got like the other.
It's only one side. I gotta see the whole.
They gotta see the whole thing. Okay, let me try the other side. That's the other side. That's the other side. And then now we just go back to the middle. Okay. So
Oh.
now we're back. Okay. So
Those
now
computer screens and they're telling me stuff and like that one's red and this one's purple and yeah, I don't know. But
yeah, it's very Sesame Street colors.
how do I know like everything's working? So getting to that point, so it looks like a red light flashing like right there.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, when you started this process
Mhm.
as a podcaster, I remember you had this little handheld mic thing. We did the first episode. You know where it is?
I may still have. Oh man, but gee, this antique.
Not even the. Yeah, you did have that, but it was a little handheld looking thing.
It was this one. This was like mic number 2. Ever.
Don't say the brand because they're
Never.
either endorsing or not endorsing anyone. But anyway, so when he first started, he had this little handheld thing that had microphones kind of like going, in either direction. And, it was supposed to be for like news reporters, like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then they say something. Well, he inserted like headphones and the whole thing. And it just kind of came like this mini studio on the go.
Yes.
But then that wasn't sustainable.
Nah.
So talk a little bit how you leveled up within your systems, whether that's all this hardware right in front of us, or even some of your systems like behind the scenes, like the hosting platform.
Yeah, I mean, hardware is kind of like a no-brainer as you become more enthused into podcasting. You're gonna figure out things that you want, like a pod. I'm talking about the Rodecaster, right? The Pro. I mean, as a podcaster, if you don't have that, I mean, it's
that's like base.
Yeah. And then like the ATM Mini, which is the one that I just used to swap out the video channels just now. But looking at like now I want to upgrade again. You know what I'm saying? Like the ATM Mini was kind of me dibbling in video, and I was like, dude, I need to have 4 screens, 4-way splits, probably 8 input channels, HD, blah 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 blah, and all this other. But you don't get to that point until you actually like do something and start recording and seeing the mishaps of what you have. Yeah. But you can start with your cell phone. I'm just saying.
You can start a podcast as easy as your cell phone.
You can.
Yes, it can happen. So we leveled up on how we get guests, leveled up on systems.
Yes.
I was thinking about this the other day, a little on topic, off topic, but we'll get there. So sitting in bed and I'm like, we're in the house and we've been here now for a couple years. And this, if anybody's ever been to the house, this studio is a lot going on at the same time. So we first set the studio up. I remember it was supposed to be for in-person interviews. Like he had it up. We were setting up, we were measuring, hammering, and all that stuff. And had it all set up. It was a seat on one side, seat on the other, mics, cameras, the whole thing.
Facts. And
then COVID happened. And what became very, very, very unnecessary was a 2-person studio. I think it was we were trying to figure out yesterday who was the first in person. I think it was Paul.
No, I think it was probably either, honestly, probably Trent or Milano.
Really? I thought Paul came out before. Anyway, okay. I'll go back.
Season 1, like episode 5, 6, or 7. And I think the order of sequence is Trent, Milano, Paul.
So, and then I remember you did have Jahan and his partner for their business.
Yes.
And then that might have been it. And so now you have this whole studio built out, had a little lounge chair in the corner and everything. It was great. And now you realize you don't need all that.
No, I mean like the fact that she kind of pushed me into saying let's both get in, because I was just like I again not double checking, and yesterday we recorded a whole hour because nobody else ever recorded in this studio but me.
Yes.
So again, it was just kind of like just do it. But obviously that's another lesson that's learned. It's kind of like that's going to be a system now as well, right? I'm going to go through all my channels, make sure all my channels are set, and make sure everything's ready to go, so that BS will never happen again.
See, when you have in person, we didn't do sound check yesterday just because we didn't think about it, and it was like, we can't sound check.
No. And again, like my setup is set up. Like I walk in here and I hit a button and it launches my browser and it pulls up 20 different tabs with everything. It launches Zoom. It does all that for me by the push of one button with this little bad boy right here. Let me see that. Maybe I could switch it to it's a Stream Deck.
You can post a picture of.
Yeah. So I'm not set up for that.
Right.
So I may around pull and unplug the internet or something.
Like yesterday.
Going down the damn drain, man.
No recording, no live, no nothing.
Yeah. Well, it recorded, so
Yes,
it
but it
definitely
just
recorded.
sounded very weird for the most part. But yeah,
Yeah.
so it was kind of like you're leveling up in gas, you're leveling up in your systems and having to pare down in the studio that you once built out that you don't really need
Yeah.
anymore. But
Yeah.
I'm only gonna come and bother you, what, twice a year? So
I mean, I'm just saying,
unless
like,
we hit another milestone, like
we
200
will.
episodes, we didn't even talk about the other big milestone,
Oh, yes.
300,000 total downloads in the last 3 years.
Yeah. And it's not even like a full 3 years if you think about it. Because that's the
Oh,
other thing too.
we
We
were
had
supposed to have a drink.
taking your shot. I'm listening to that mutt, your dog barking right now. Because usually the studio is the doors closed and it's soundproof. I don't hear like yesterday there was a full blown storm, and I was like, "There's a storm." Oh, can't hear it in here, but the door's open, so like I can hear the dog barking, and more than likely they could probably hear it if they listen really, really quiet,
Probably,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, to your point, we hit 300,000 downloads. Year one, I
Mhm.
didn't really track downloads. Downloads wasn't important to me. It was more so like learning the craft and the art of being
Yeah.
a podcaster. And then we had a hosting company, which was a very decent hosting company. And guess what? I got a lifetime deal. We'll talk about that here shortly. The lifetime deal, yes. So I got a lifetime deal on it, and it was all set up, ready to go. And then we was like, something's missing, and then we found Bcast,
Yeah.
who happens to be another
Don't talk about it yet.
lifetime deal. And and then with Bcast, it was for marketers, so it had all the little bells and whistles,
Yeah.
and it had like really good
Analytics.
tracking,
Mhm.
analytics, and data. And so then I think it was like we started February, and I didn't really look at the stats until the next January when we switched over the platform.
Yeah.
So that was 0-0. So technically speaking, we're at 2 years in, 2 years
Mhm.
and some change, and we
Oh,
have
that's true.
300,000 downloads, which is, and I have to talk about this because I don't want it to be like facetious. And for me, it's like 300,000. Why does that not have an extra 3 zeros behind it? That's a malfunctioning problem of the system. But in reality, there's some podcasters that they'll be happy with 10 downloads.
Yeah, what were you telling me the percentage? Like the number of podcasts in the world, like 3.2 million, but like the actual usage is actual active podcast was only like 10%.
Like less than 10%. I mean, you got to think about like prime example. We did like a little background research, and we was looking at listen notes, and I was breaking it down for us so you can understand where we are and where we stand.
Mm-hmm.
And we was looking at Oprah. Oprah at one point in time had overlapping about total 6 completely separate podcasts.
Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, well, this is what I'm talking about. If there's 3.5 million podcasts in the world, these 6 podcasts are included in those 3.5.
Yeah.
But only one was active. The other 5 were like limited series or her book club, and they haven't updated it in 2 years.
Right,
so when you think about the scale of podcasting, it's not really that big number. It's more so like a 1% out of that 3 million that's really active and monetizing and doing this shit day in and day out. But it kind of goes back to what we were saying about these downloads. You may get 100 downloads in your first month or your first 2 months,
right?
But the better you get at this, and that's the other thing that we didn't talk about yet. It's not only about the equipment. It's not only about the quality of the sound. It's about the art of being a podcaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want you to talk about that for a minute. Because I mean, like, but you are. I mean, I call you the EP because you really are. Like behind the scenes, like y'all don't see her in front of the camera because she acts shy. But a lot of times, like we're both masterminding, like, well, why and how, and then execute. But in reality, we're here because of you. So I want you to kind of like talk about like from a outside person that's really on the inside, like how do you feel, or how do you look at podcasting, considering that you've been behind the scenes involved in it for as long as you have?
Well, I would say, I am the very much skeptic in the entire family. Like anytime we do something, try something new, there is a little kind of moment in the beginning when I'm like, okay, see if this works out. And now to kind of become a part of the community and see how it's grown, even from the space that we're in now to your internet presence or your social media presence or something, that's something that I'm really proud of, because I can kind of see that the hard work, the research, the conferences that we're going to, the 5 gazillion classes that we've taken online for this that are finally kind of showing proof for the most part. So I'm really excited about it. really excited about the fact that, yes, we've only released 200 episodes. We're probably at close to almost 400 recorded. So, the longevity of it is something that I'm really excited about. So,
oh man, I think that's a real big bonus because, kind of going back to that moment, and we're not going to get emotional.
okay.
We're not, it's not going to get. We're not,
not
gonna get
like
emotional.
our kids just went to college. We're
Yeah.
good.
Yes, we're not gonna get emotional like that, right? But the reality is, it's kind of like in that moment when, matter of fact, I'm not even going to talk about it because I'm not even going back to that whole stroke shit. In reality, what I really want to talk about is, as to your point, that you're talking in the aspect of the growth that we've had.
Mhm.
But I think it was more so understanding that it wasn't going to happen overnight.
Oh yeah, we knew that. I mean, I think it's in the back of your mind.
Correct. But in addition to that, too, it was just kind of like it was completely new to both of us. It wasn't like you did it before, like of course I've done marketing before and I did design, but
components of it, but not.
I never did it to where I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
Like no, like I I was in video and I was behind the cameras and touching shit, but I never thought I would have utilized the information that I learned from that particular area of expertise and create this.
Mhm.
So yeah, to your point, it's one of those things. It's definitely a landmark.
Oh.
300,000 is great. I think that obviously
200 episode old baby.
200
episode old.
Why does 200 sound like a fat baby? It sounds like a really like a real
baby
fat,
with big cheeks.
really like like really kind of bloated children. You gotta stretch them out a little bit.
Lost focus.
But I mean, we're talking about the insights that we've gained, right? I mean, so we definitely gained a lot of insights. Enhancing the quality, I think we talk about that as well too. It's just, I think on the systematic side of enhancing the quality, not just the equipment, but the style of the interviews have changed.
Yeah.
And I try to make it to where if you listen to episode 2 and you listen to episode 200, there's similarities.
Yeah. There's
similarities, but the way that I'm doing the interviews now and the research that I do now has definitely evolved. It's like I feel like I'm a stalker now.
Yeah, the reconnaissance that goes on as he preps for an episode is a little uncomfortable. Just want you know that, like, wow, you know how to do that. Okay, I'm afraid. But I think that it helps. And he always, proofs with the guest, before he brings up something that may be uncomfortable.
Facts.
But, it's kind of like, oh, how'd you know that? Did you go back to my cousin, sister, brother, uncle's Facebook page to find that tidbit of information?
You're damn right.
A little scary, but it really, with putting more effort into the research side, you can see that it's really kind of organically improved the quality of the conversations that are happening.
100% fact. I mean, I remember at one time, I think probably like around 100, the one words of wisdom that I gave on that particular episode, if I remember correctly, was to be a great listener. It was like, that's what makes you to be a better host. You listen to keywords, you regurgitate it. And I lived that for the first 2 to 3 seasons. And then I was like, I always think about this, always another level.
Yeah.
Like, how do I level this up? And I was just like, well, superficially, if I'm asking for all this different content, then maybe some other podcaster or some other person is also asking for this content. Yeah. And that person is going to stop at the page that has the most followers, or maybe just do an overview on all top pages. And I was like, how do I evolve that?
Yeah.
So in the first 5 minutes of our episodes, they know that I know, and that this is going to be like one of the damn best interviews they've ever had. And I'm not patting myself on the back. It's just, I'm so obsessed with that aspect of it.
Sure.
That I'm not being perfect with it, but it has to be, I want to see that look in their eye to where like they relax for that minute because they know that they're in good hands. That makes sense.
And sometimes it leads to these really genuine like relationships that you have like, outside of the show. So yeah. You're not creepy.
Not creepy. Nope.
Just a little bit.
I may be a little bit creepy if it was a lifetime deal.
Like how you segue into our next topic I feel like we need some kind of sound button with this company's name on it, just so you can just hit it over and over again. So remember that for the next one. You can just like boop boop.
Like the red staple, like the
Yep.
staple.
Mhm.
Yes.
But
That's a good comparison. That's good brand recognition right
you
there.
just hit the easy button.
I'm about to make me an app sumo.
Yeah. So we're
Easy
announcing
button.
that Boss Uncaged is now a part of AppSumo's ambassador program. So he's an AppSumo ambassador.
Mhm.
And what is an AppSumo ambassador?
Well, based upon the original logo, it's a half-naked man
No,
of
wait,
large
what?
proportions that does sumo wrestling. So I was hoping, since I'm really into Japanese culture, like now that I'm part of the squad, I could walk into their office with a samurai suit on and be like, "Yo, we're not chopping prices, we chopping the internet up," and then we just giving people high fives, and then everybody's like,
You're so,
"What the hell's going on?"
as usual, I think a lot
Yes.
of people say that in your life.
Yes.
But what is your ambassador role?
Oh no, it's first of all, it comes to it's one of those things to where if you guys, I think what episode was it, but it was Chris. So Chris is based out of London. He's a podcaster as well. He originally had worked for AppSumo.
Okay.
And that's how him and I first met. It was like I was putting a product up there. I think it was like my launch course, whatever it was. And he was like my liaison for directly from Amazon. We had emails, had a phone call. We were speaking and talking. And then I think I was about to say September 11th happened, but not September 11th. COVID happened, right? And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so then like him and I kind of lost communication because it was more of like a B2B thing.
Mhm.
And then, I got into like season 3 around that time. And I had made a post about another guy that's from Canada,
Mhm.
right? And he was on our podcast as well. And then Chris was like, "You know him?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know him." I'm like, "You know him?" And then like literally we got on a call. We became like buddies and it became like business partners. So AppSumo came back around.
Yeah.
And they brought him back on. And then when they brought him on, then he brought 3 other close podcasters to him on the team with him as well.
Cool.
So that's kind of like the backstory, but it kind of really goes into podcasting works if you work podcasting.
Yeah, for sure. And now AppSumo ambassador, that does what? How many times do you have to say AppSumo per episode?
That's not even a requirement.
Yeah,
but by default, I'm gonna be like, if I say lifetime deal,
what's Tal say?
Oh my yes. So before I even finish it, usually Tal, season 1, episode 2, right? She every time I talk to her, I'm like, "Yo, I got a lifetime deal for that." It always followed by AppSumo. Or she'll always finish my sentence. It's like, all bullshit aside, I can show you my Facebook feed, my chat, and she was like, "Lifetime deal, AppSumo, lifetime deal, AppSumo." Completely to the point to where like I think I make it may even sound kind of sexual coming out my mouth sometimes. I say it so many times.
We'll get to the Howard Stern episode shortly.
Yes. But yes. So the reality is more so like we have opportunities to become sponsored spots. We have opportunity to get access to new platforms, software that's coming out. The reality is now we can kind of throw like marketing deals, a bunch, like the 4 of us that are all like the new ambassadors. We can kind of get together and probably do like a podcast marathon and make it sponsored by apps. So, I mean, there's so many, like there's a group of podcasters that are marketers. So we're going to come up with some really crazy, different, unique, like almost some Howard Stern type stuff.
We'll be back there.
Yeah. Like you don't be alarmed if you see me sitting down like a sumo wrestler, butt ass.
No.
Just butt ass.
Yeah.
I would do that just because.
For AppSumo. We just we had a little samurai thing and then we just put the logo on it. Right?
See, I can't change the brand.
Well, anyway, you need to get a button that just says AppSumo over and over again.
Correct.
But I think you've been repping them for a very long time with your lifetime deals and systems that you put in place and have even interviewed, founders of, companies that are part of AppSumo. So
that's another thing too. So earlier we talked about the system of getting really good guests. So one of the things that I negotiated with this particular deal, when I thought about it, I was like, well, wait a minute. If I'm getting access to new particular software, new platforms, every single new one that I get access to, go ahead and put a bid in there for me to actually interview that founder as well.
Right.
So it's kind of like feeding the pipeline through a source that's a vetted source, and I can automatically, if they're on the show, and what can I do? I can talk about lifetime deals from
AppSumo.
AppSumo. So if you do it like that, it works for you, it works for their brand, and it becomes second nature. It becomes I've been waiting for this moment because everyone that knows me, like,
They have like a theme song we can play.
man, dude, like literally, I think people don't really understand like how, like, yeah, like pretty much. I forgot what our bottom line percentage was for AppSumo deals. It was on our tax, like literally
yeah. When I was going through the statement doing our taxes, it was like AppSumo, and I'm like, okay.
Yep. And you can't say they're not business expenses.
Line on the P&L.
You cannot say that it's not a business expense because
it's very much so. You use everything.
Yes. Everything
that you buy on there is in this system.
You think they're ready for that conversation?
No, they're not.
Not okay. Well, whether they're ready or not, I will continue with this conversation and move forward. With that being said, now I'm not going to say that. Okay, I do hear voices, but I'm not going to say they're like mastermind level voices that are like talking about taking over the world, like Pinky in the Brain. I'm not going to say they're voices like that, but I've been saying this lifetime deal by AppSumo for a long period of time, right?
For free.
for free. And then I started like figuring out the components to live up to what I say when people ask me the question.
Yeah.
Because maybe like 30% of people ask me the question, okay, well, like, why are you doing this? And I had to stop. And I always think, and it's always the same reason. It's like I'm building a legacy. But what would a legacy look like if it continues after you're gone? Which it has for Walmart, it has for Disney, it has for Ford. I could go on for days of how all those companies have been lived on. But the only difference between what they have done and what I am doing right now is I'm trying to make myself through the art of AI with another lifetime deal from AppSumo.
He's one step closer to the cloud. Just leveling up to this cloud.
Correct.
And he's going to be there. He dies. He's in the cloud. He's
Correct.
Going to be literally getting on everybody's nerves. Y'all be ready.
As morbid as that sounds, it literally sounds like I'm trying to mummify myself in real time. But in reality, that's the only thing that kind of lives on when you talk about humanity. Like, what are you leaving behind? Who have you helped?
Right.
Who do you connect to? And then I always say, like, for me, when I look at it, like, actors are the closest representation to becoming infinite. Like they live forever. I mean, the reality is
fair because it's recordings of them, like they live on through the movies.
Correct.
Whatever recordings.
But the difference is that they're acting as someone else. And with podcasting,
you're yourself.
I'm a motherfucking essay player all day, every. So cut that off. I think that was like 5 milliseconds. So continue.
So AppSumo ambassador.
Yes.
Is an announcement for the most part. That more information will be coming in the next couple of weeks, but it's kind of one of those things where it organically fit. Like you all don't realize it. Statement was AppSumo, and I'm like, oh, okay. But now it makes sense. And now you're kind of sitting in one of these ambassador seats, to go out and promote the great products that they help us do what we do. So
100% facts. 100% facts.
So another step in getting you into the cloud.
Yes.
And you're like level 1, level 2 cloud. I don't know how many levels there are.
Well, see the other level we haven't even talked about.
But I'm saying this next level is So we're going to announce there's Uncaged internet radio station. So stream this Uncaged playlist.
Yeah.
Anytime, 24/7,
well,
365.
Think about it, right? If we have 200 episodes, on average, each episode is about an hour. That's 200 hours. 200 hours divided by 24 hours a day equals 8.5 days of content. That's over a week of unlimited 24/7 content.
You sound like one of those wrestlers from the 80s.
Oh, yeah. I did grow up with Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior. Right. Yeah. So in reality, I was like, with that much, like, like season 1, season 2.
Mhm.
It's kind of like going back to Grey's Anatomy season 1 versus season 29, wherever they're at right now. You can kind of see the evolution.
Mhm.
But then that content is when that person does find Grey's Anatomy for the first time, and it may be season 8, episode 3.
Mhm.
And when they open up the catalog and they see that this shit goes back 8 seasons and it goes forward another 10,000 seasons, like that's it. Like they're gonna watch that show, like I did Knight Rider that one time.
Oh yeah, we watched like binged
Mm-hmm.
hardcore. And, oh, how many seasons? 6 seasons?
It was like 40 episodes per. It was like
It was ridiculous.
I was like, did that say 35?
What is when you got to the last one? I mean, sorry for any Knight Rider fans. The last episode was garbage. It's been on for so long. It's such an icon. But anyway,
we don't have that issue because we're not going to have a last show.
So explain.
Yeah,
the internet radio station.
Yeah. So again, it's one of those lifetime deals from AppSumo.
Oh my God.
And I found this internet radio, and I was like thinking, like, what would it look like with that much content if I can kind of create these radio stations or maybe a season playlist? And I was like, it'll give somebody opportunity to kind of just hit play and it'll organically play. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I have another lifetime deal by AppSumo that lets me create music, like AI-driven music. And I also have access to other pre-recorded music as well that I have the unlimited rights and commercial rights and broadcast rights, again, because of that lifetime deal by AppSumo. So I was like, well, what would it look like if I start creating like music, like letting AI create the music based upon the keywords or the hashtags of that last episode? And I was like, well, that's crazy, because now for all 200 episodes, technically each episode could have this matching music counterpart.
Yeah.
And it could be in its own separate playlist, and you can kind of listen to motivating playlists, or you could listen to like the uplift playlist or whatever all day, every day, in addition and mixing with episodes, the original episodes. Yes. So the internet radio station is real.
Yes.
I'm not announcing it because I'm still like testing it and tweaking it but we also working on the website as well too. I think that was one of the major things that we have come to realize, that it was something that we put on the back burner for way too long.
Yeah, a lot of band-aids. More.
Oh man.
Band-aids, duct tape, chewing gum.
Yeah. The Uncaged website is a like a literal version of Humpty Dumpty, and after he fell off the wall.
It is.
It's literally like Frankenstein had a baby with Humpty Dumpty. If you could think about that co-brand situation right there, that's what our website is right now.
And I have one thought about that too, is so, and kind of what he's saying is we have the original website, which was, I'll let you say,
My Success X. See, it was EX
no,
extra.
No, it was, but you put SEX together nowhere in a sentence and you'll be able to find it for the most part.
I'm looking for the condoms.
But anyway, so when Uncaged was developed, then create a brand new website, that says www.bossuncaged.com, which technically, if you do go there and you look in your URL, you'll see My Success. Let's just say it's sex.
That was a problem too. Just trying to pronounce
right.
The combination of words was.
I think Google likes that at all. So I feel like once it's completely updated and it's actually not, it doesn't have that component in it, I think it's gonna be a viral moment, because it's like so much content on that website, so much good content that is nowhere near the first page of a Google search.
I don't even think it's on a Google search.
Right.
I mean,
because of that little naughty word.
I think the naughty word, and like that site again, it's Frankenstein and Humpty Dumpty. So like all the things that I know how to do, that I do for clients, I didn't do for myself with that website, because I was just more so focused on learning podcasting, if that makes sense. But obviously, by the fact that I had access to making websites really quick, I made a website really quick.
Yeah, you need a quick website.
I was like, oh, okay, it's Tuesday, okay, it's Wednesday, website done. Like let's move on to the next thing. And unfortunately, there was push and pulls, because I focused so much on podcasting. I kind of forgot about like where I came from. Like my second degree is
yes,
damn web development.
Yes.
So I had to kind of like go into that stage for a minute and be like if I was to build a website now for Uncaged, in what classification do I want it to be like regarded, at least close to, or can become?
Yeah.
And I think about IBM, right? I think about like companies like CNN. I'm thinking about like the mass quantity of content that they have, but you need to have the infrastructure set up to kind of get to that point. So this new website,
It won't have the no word in it.
no, yeah, you're right. But this new website is gonna be like it's taking my brain and making it into a catalog of like everything that's in my head, like everything that I do collectively is going to be there, and plus all the stuff that we have, all our digital assets. And we were looking at our subdomains, and we have like 120 subdomains that are going to like all of these are live, going to multiple different lifetime deals by Sumo. But the reality is that no, I'm gonna kill that shit all day, every day. But the reality is that we have that much online presence again because of the.
You just wink. You're not supposed to know what that.
Yeah, you know what that is. That's that ass Sumo, baby. But in reality, it's just like how do you migrate all these different things and make them overlap and make them cohesive to make them because they hear about the directory because I tell them about the directory.
Yeah.
The directory should be on the page with the podcast already, but they're not connected, but they're sharing a domain. So
fair. Yeah. So our announcements for this episode, besides our celebrations, are having an internet radio station. You are a Sumo ambassador. Is that a British accent? No, okay. No. And then also BossUncaged.com is getting a refresh, rebrand. Yeah, that's been cool. I'm excited. Woo! Yay. Yeah. Actually, as we get ready to close out, I'll let you tell the Howard Stern episode.
Oh. Yeah, so the Howard Stern episode of Boss Uncaged, right?
Well, now tell them what an Howard Stern episode is.
Well, I think they'll know right away. Like if you've ever heard of Howard Stern before, if you even if you're like 19, you probably heard of Howard Stern, right? And growing up watching his radio, TV craziness, this episode kind of falls into that line. And it's the only episode.
The only one
out of all 400 episodes that we recorded that has an explicit on it.
Like a little E on it.
Yeah, like literally. Cause like cursing, you can kind of slide under the radar. But that episode, I was like,
put an E on that one.
Got to.
Our only one.
Yeah. So that episode, the reigning champion, goes to Shane.
And what was the question that kicked off the answer that got an E put next to it? And this was season 1, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, the question was a question that I still ask even to this day, right? If you could spend 24 hours with anyone dead or alive, uninterrupted for those 24 hours, who would it be and why? And
we've gotten since then, we've gotten so many answers to that question that have been philosophers, doctors, politicians, Jesus, God, everyone.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yes.
Like and still like season 1, still to this day, no one has answered that question with that way.
No, nobody has. So Shane looked at me through the camera because it was virtual, right? It was during it's COVID. And he gives me this look about, man, if I could spend 24 hours with Zoe Kravitz. Pause.
So you're like, I love Zoe.
And I'm not like, don't get me wrong, I went to high school with him, but I wasn't like in high school mind state right then and there. And so when he went there, it was like everything. It was like, tough fucking time leaping back in the time. And he looked at the camera. He said, I would.
They would color all night long, inside, outside of the lines, on different notepads. Yeah.
And then he continued to talk about it for at least another couple of minutes live. And he was just like, this was before I did lives happening, right? If I had did a live that day, it would have been probably would have been a problem. But it was funny looking back at it. But I mean, that episode will forever be the Howard Stern episode. Point blank period. Thank you, Shane. We appreciate you for becoming the Howard Stern episode, because what you want to do is color inside and outside the lines of Miss Kravitz.
Done. I quit.
Yes.
The point of that whole conversation that we had yesterday was because we were talking about the growth of you being a podcast host, which is something we didn't talk about in the beginning.
Yes. Yes.
And we had to let everyone know how we even got to the Howard Stern. Like, you're asking these questions, you're getting answers, you're thinking like, how do I pivot? Yada yada yada. And in that moment, that was your first time getting an answer where I don't even know how you pivoted. I gotta like listen to the few seconds after.
Well, it took me a minute, and it took him a minute to get in between the lines. It was like, I was like, "Are you done? Are you done?" And I'm like, I'm literally thinking to myself, like, "Are you?" And I had like, to be frank, I was looking at the camera to be like, "Are you really like? Are you here, bruh? Bruh?" Like literally, he was gone. He was gone.
So he's a Howard Stern episode.
Yes.
We'll never get another one. Or if we, but that was the point. Hopefully you'll never get another story like that, because if you see it kind of leading into that direction,
Yeah,
you
change it.
Yeah.
You change it. And again, that's what we talked about, is like, as becoming a better host, you start to figure out like the problem topics. Even though I touch on a lot of different emotional topics, there's two different things, right? So like a problem topic would be like, I get long-winded answers sometimes.
Yeah.
But if that long-winded answer is like aggressive or angry or kind of like more personal than a standard answer, I am not time traveling back in that episode and bringing up that topic
ever again.
But again, that's because as being a host, you can see it. You can see it before it happens. And like by 30 minutes, I'm like, we could end it now, but I didn't even get to for people to kind of see you go on the roller coaster, because you're at the top of the roller coaster and you're cutting the power. Cutting the power.
Yeah, that was. And now every time I see Zoe Kravitz on TV or any social media or whatever, I just can't not think of that episode.
Thanks, Shane.
We got to get off the internet. Close us out. What else do we have going on?
I mean, there's so many other things going on. Like, I think this particular episode, what we missed out from yesterday, which we could kind of just leave it with a cliffhanger, which is kind of like the autonomous AI version of Boss Uncaged and S.A. Grant. But you know,
the cloud level.
Yes. Like every day I'm getting closer to it. I can't wait until I have a conversation with myself in the cloud while I'm still here before I'm gone. It's going to be crazy. There's going to be two versions of me. Eventually it's going to happen.
I don't think the world can handle two versions of you. They couldn't. It'd be overload.
I mean, but I'm posting a lot of content now. I mean, I think on average we're posting probably 30 something per day on all platforms. I think this month we're supposed to hit like 12 to 1300 total by the end of the month. Like that's where we should hit as far as content we've created and post and syndicated and repeated. So obviously we got to beat that.
Yeah.
I got to get to like 2500. Like, can I post like 60 times in a day?
No.
Every day?
No. See, that would be two of you, which again is too much. No.
The algorithms, you know, they don't show it to everyone at the same time, so nobody will ever really know, except for the people that see it.
We're not going down this rabbit hole.
Fair enough.
Everybody knows you'll be in the cloud. Got it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yep. So that kind of goes into closing out our 200 episode, 300,000 plus downloads.
We're ready. You gotta do your O's.
Oh,
I'm
sure
ready.
You got it right this time? Because yes, it was rough. It was rough yesterday. Correct. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Because the other way, it looked like we had 2 downloads. So yes, now we have 200 downloads. I appreciate you kind of reconfiguring that for the mirror thing. Because like we did all this shit and we had 2 total downloads. If we had 2 total downloads and we did all that, yeah, no.
Hey, you got to celebrate the small wins, okay? Whoever got 2 episodes out of you, don't let him hate.
2 downloads?
2 downloads, my bad.
Look, you downloaded that. So we the only person listening to this? We the 2 downloads?
No. Okay, sorry. Funny segue from that. So when we were prepping for the episode and looking at the number of downloads that we have, it gives you kind of like this little chart. And, you know, it's like showing you kind of the progression of the number of downloads coming in. So you have all these, like, we first started, it'd be like a little bloop, bloop.
Yeah, he was dead. Flatlined.
In the beginning.
Yep.
And then you brought him back to life.
Like literally, yeah. Like it really happened once we changed that first year.
Yeah.
Like once we got on to BCast, which was a lifetime deal by Absol. Once we got to that point, then things started falling in place.
Okay.
Things started falling in
Like
place.
reverse dying. You brought him back to life. Yeah.
Yeah, without giving him mouth to mouth too. So it was like really, really
I
cool.
really feel like those first couple of blips were just us going on it for a couple of days to see if it was still there.
We had early peaks. Like in the first 30 days, we had like the it was like we can't download. And then you get to like day 90 and you're like, what the hell is going on? So I'm saying this for a new podcaster, like downloads is not everything.
No.
Right? Like, yeah, we're talking about our 200 episode. Yeah, we're talking about 300,000 downloads. But the reality is like there's people that's getting 2 million downloads per episode per 2 hours of being. And again, that's more famous, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, every time you get a download, just make sure that you're doing your best on that episode.
Mm-hmm.
And if you keep doing your best, then you're going to get better and you're going to get better and better. And the better you get at the craft of being a podcaster host or just being a natural podcaster, the evolution of what you're creating and developing would definitely grow and prosper, and your downloads would match that as well. I sounded really like fizzy. Yeah. I sounded real studious when I said that.
I should get you a crown.
No crown, not a crown. I'm more like a Dr. Manhattan kind of Adam. Just
Wait, what? No.
just burn. Give me a fat. I would say if I was to get a Mike Tyson tattoo, it'll be the little Adam right there.
Get off.
That's when you know I lost my mind.
Get out the internet.
Yes. So with that, from the wife boss and S.A. Grant, over and